Hi, I'm Broth, and welcome to ZeGuild News. Tonight we have a special retrospective look at our former guild leader Mythron. The episode you're about to see was created just days before Cataclysm's launch, but was unable to be aired upon completion. We now have the ability to bring it to you, and we believe it is now appropriate to put forth the ZeGuild IRL episode in memory of Tim. Hi, we're just about to start the interview. I'm sure Mythron will be here any moment. So it procs naked guildies. Alright. Could you tell us a bit about the founding of ZeGuild?
Well, we started playing on this server quite a while back, Brittany and I, and then we went away from the game for a little bit. And when we came back, we were looking for a guild. We weren't quite 80 yet, but we joined this guild called the Defenseless Old Ladies. And, or sorry, I joined it. Brittany didn't join it. Pierre joined it with me, and it just was not. We had some really bad experiences in that guild. Like, we were doing an Aljoar run this one time, and we didn't even get. I don't think we even got past Flame Leviathan. Like, we got to Flame Levy, and then like some other people wanted to go, and it was being run by our guild, but they kicked me and Brittany out to invite these other people, and we're like, all right, that's a little crummy. So I left the guild, and then Pierre left the guild because I left the guild, and then Pierre and I started talking about starting up our own guild. And I had run a guild in the past, and I just didn't want to do it again because generally I don't stay with MMOs very long. So I knew that eventually I was probably going to leave WoW, and if I was the guild leader, it just causes problems. So I let him start the guild, and I just signed the charter, and that was that. I don't even think we had 10 other people. I think we paid some people to get it started and fired up the guild, and then Pierre posted about it on my website a few days later.
So what are your thoughts on World of Warcraft?
Um, I love World of Warcraft, and this is the longest time I've played it consecutively. I mean, I've been playing on and off since beta, and it's not. I mean, I wouldn't have been playing it if it weren't for this guild. I mean, it's a really fun game, and I really enjoy it. But I think what makes it are the people that you play it with, and ZeGuild has brought some really cool people. I've made a lot of great new friends through the guild, and so I think it's a good game. I think it offers a lot of fun, but I think that that's only going to go so far because ultimately it is a fairly simple and straightforward game. But playing it with fun with people that you really have a lot of fun with makes all the difference in the world, I think.
Do you think the game's gotten better or worse since you started playing?
It's it's definitely changed. I've seen a lot of things. I think that if I were to say, I think that more has improved than hasn't. Like, I mean, I guess you could make the argument that it's gotten a lot easier. They've put in quite a lot of features that, that people would argue make the game easier, and that's true to a great extent. But they've also made so many other changes that have just, you know, really made the game much more enjoyable, uh, and it's the argument between are they catering too much towards the casual player, and not enough towards the hardcore raiders, but I mean, I remember back playing a vanilla where, like an Alterac Valley, it would take you 3 days to get one started on your server because you weren't drawing from other servers in your battle group. And then when you finally got one going, it would last, 24 or 36 hours because there was no concept of reinforcements that could run out. So, I mean, it would be, it was a game of inches, like, pushing back and forth, and you would summon those big guys on either side, half a dozen times per game, and that was fun back then. But who's honestly going to want to commit 6 hours to an Alterac Valley, right? So I think a lot of it's improved, but again, it is a simpler game and a fairly casual game. But not to say that there aren't challenges, but most of what keeps me here is the people.
What are you looking forward to in Cataclysm?
New challenges, new content. As you know, TFB kind of conquered everything that the game had to offer at this point. So we've been a little content starved for a little while. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting back into that. You know, the weekly rating, the weekly trying to best new challenges and get new achievements and new mounts and all that new stuff that we can that was so much fun to overcome previously. I think that the game's going to offer a lot of new stuff as far as PvP looks like it's going to be even better between in the next few levels with rated battlegrounds and that kind of thing. So definitely hoping to get another good 6 months of fun content out of the game.
Just 6 months?
Well, who
So,
knows? I mean, it depends. Well, I figure 6 months for, depending on what their release schedule is. I mean, I imagine the content that's gonna launch with Cataclysm will give us a good 6 months of rating. Maybe I'm being optimistic there.
what is your group role of choice?
DPS, I think. I mean, I enjoy tanking, and it certainly gets me queued faster, but I don't think I would ever take over tanking as a full-time raid position.
What are your favorite and least favorite classes?
Well, I love my paladin. I think that the 4.0.3 changes, breathe some new life into the class. It's not quite so much of a whack-a-mole rotation. I'm not doing algebra over here to pull off my DPS rotation, but it's a little bit more interesting than it was. As far as least favorite classes, I guess I would say of the one I have no interest in playing a warlock.
And of course, some of those guys can be weird and French, so it
Weird
doesn't
and
really.
French, and they dress in funny dresses, and I just don't want to be associated.
What are your thoughts on rating in Cataclysm?
With the new shared lockout system that they tried to kind of shoehorn into Cataclysm or into Wrath rather. I love the idea of it. I love that we can focus more on 10-man rating, just because I think that it's more manageable for us, and I like not being penalized for only doing 10-man rating. So I think it's just going to be more flexible. Especially given that we're going to be starting with 3 raids when Cataclysm launches, which will allow us from week to week choose one of those at random to schedule as our guild 25. Because again, I really don't want to lose the social aspect. I don't want ZeGuild to become, a number of compartmentalized 10-man groups that never really hang out together. But at the same time, having put TFB together, and I really felt that team rating was a huge key to success as far as making progress. Not having to learn the fights over again or teach people the fights over again every week when you bring different people in. So I think being able to set one raid each week aside for the 25 man and let the 10 mans go at the other two will give us the best of both worlds.
What other games have you played in a similar obsessive MMO fashion?
Uh, every MMO on the market. I mean, I've played practically every MMO there is. I don't think I've ever played any to the extent that I've played WoW, save for maybe the very first EverQuest, which I played pretty obsessively. Um, but that was the last one, EverQuest, where I would be on for hours at a time and, raiding and end game stuff. Everything in between, everything since then, just it hasn't really held my interest. WoW obviously, and it's tough for games nowadays too, I think, to compete with a juggernaut like WoW because, WoW starts with so much content that they've built over the last 6 years that it's just tough. Like for instance, I loved Warhammer Online, but what I saw a lot of people doing playing that game was that they would plow through the 40 levels and they'd get to the end game and there wasn't a lot there yet because the game hadn't had the time to mature. So they got to the end of the game and realized, okay, there's not a lot else to do, and then they kind of left, and so the game suffered because of that. So it's tough for new games to launch against a game like WoW, which has so much available for all level ranges. But I mean, I'm always trying new MMOs. I'm always looking for the new things, and there are definitely other MMOs that do stuff that I wish that I really like, or even wish WoW would incorporate. But so far, there hasn't been anything that's really grabbed me away from WoW. You know, even trying to go back to the original EverQuest didn't quite pan out. The reality didn't live up to the nostalgia, I guess. But I think a large part of it is, you know, I think if a group of my friends went over to another MMO, that would probably help me stick with or, you know, get into something new as well.
What is your favorite video gaming genre?
I mean, I love MMOs. I like RPGs. Um, you know, action adventure games in general, I'd say.
What are some games you're looking forward to?
Definitely looking forward to the Old Republic, of course. I've been playing around in the beta for DC Universe Online, and I think it's shaping up fantastically. It's you know, it's one of the types of MMOs that I feel is, you know, they're doing quite a few things different. I've played City of Heroes, City of Villains. I played Champions through the beta and at launch, but DC Universe Online I think is going to be the first, you know, really good example of a superhero MMO, especially incorporating a known brand as opposed to you know, City of Heroes or Champions, which a lot of people weren't really familiar with Champions before it became the MMO. So there's that, and you know, I mean, I have my eye on a couple other games coming up, but again, it's a lot of it comes down to free time, which I'm not exactly swimming in at the moment.
How did your characters get their names?
Well, Mythron came from you know, back when Brittany and I started these characters. We were looking for some names that would kind of work together because we're a couple and we level together, and so we just started tossing names back and forth, and those were the two that sounded good and also were actually available to use on the server. We came up with quite a few ideas, only to turn around and find that they were taken, or one of the pair of names was taken, so we couldn't do that. And then you know, I mean, I've played previously. My priest on vanilla was named Absath, which was an online nickname I used for quite a long time, and that was what my dwarf priest's name in EverQuest was. And I actually got that name, believe it or not, when I was much younger. I thought that Absath was what absinthe was. Like, I heard it, but I misheard it. So I so I chose the name Absath, only to later find out that that was not exactly how you said or spelt that word.
Lastly, what are some things the average ZeGuildie may not know about you?
Well, I like long walks on the beach and lengthy soaks in the bubble bath with Piggy. Um, you know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm obviously fairly public and fairly accessible to guildies. So I mean, a lot of the stuff that I'm into, I talk about on my website. But you know, things that you might not suspect me of being into would be cars. I'm a bit of a car enthusiast. I have a lifted Jeep Grand Cherokee that I really enjoy. But my first love was my Mazda MX-3. It's a Japanese import, and you know, I worked on that for quite a long time. We put a lot of work into that. We did an engine swap and a lot of body work, and you know, ripped out the interior. I redid the interior. So you know, of course, I don't get to drive it very much lately. It kind of sits in the garage the last year and a half or so. But you know, that's something I enjoy when I have the time for it. You know, and obviously I do a lot of painting. I do a lot of anything involved with gaming is definitely going to be a hobby of mine, and of course writing and artwork. But then you know, I enjoy movies and all that stuff.
Right, thank you very much.
Sure thing, man.
That's all for ZeGuild News. We wish you all the best of luck in your Cataclysm endeavors.